Hey Wagwan YouTube. Now roasting a whole chicken at home is a lot easier than you think, and I've got you guys covered with the most delicious marinade. Now here is my version of the garlic herb roasted chicken with veggies, and I hope you like it. Alright, so we are ready to get started. So I have my whole chicken here. It has been spatchcocked or butterfly, and all that means is that the backbone has been removed. Now if you've never spatchcocked a chicken before, I do have a tutorial that's live on the channel. You can go ahead and check that out. So now let's trim up our chicken. We're going to remove any of that yellow film that's sometimes left on there, any loose pieces of fat or skin, the feathers. Just remove any of that stuff and throw it away because we don't want to eat it. Oh, so we're only removing loose pieces of skin. We're not removing the skin from the entire chicken because it does serve a purpose. It's going to keep your chicken nice and moist while it's being cooked, prevent it from drying out. And there's nothing more delicious than a piece of crispy chicken skin from a roast chicken, and you definitely don't want to miss out on that experience. So leave the skin intact and remove the rest. Also want to remind you that the recipe ingredients and measurements are always listed in the video description for you, so you can go ahead and check that out. So now that we've spatchcocked the chicken and we've trimmed it up, we are now ready for the next step, which is to rinse off our chicken. Now you can use lemon or lime. I am going to be using some white distilled vinegar. I like to have my meat sit in a vinegar and water solution, and I like to leave it in there for anywhere between 30 to 60 seconds. Now that's my personal thing. You're gonna do what works best for you. I'm going in with my distilled vinegar, and I'm going in with enough water, enough cool tap water to cover my chicken. So you wanna make sure your chicken is fully immersed in the water and vinegar solution. So once the time has passed, we are gonna take this to the sink, and I'm gonna throw off my vinegar solution, and then I'm gonna rinse my chicken at least 2 times under some fresh tap water, just to remove any vinegar smell or any lingering vinegar that might still be in the bowl. And then you want to make sure you drain everything, and then we are going to come back to our workstation. Next, you want to grab some clean paper towel, and you want to pat the skin of your chicken completely dry, because we want to make sure that our marinade sticks to our chicken. That way it gets absorbed into the flesh. I am also going to be cooking that back piece that I removed from the chicken. I'm going to be roasting it with the chicken as well, because I do enjoy the chicken back. You know, I'm Jamaican, but you can decide what you want to do with yours. The choice is completely up to you. When you're done patting down the skin of the chicken, I want you to throw away the paper towel, and then I want you to wash your hands. I want you to wash your hands with some soap and water, because we're going to be handling the seasoning containers, and we don't want to contaminate them. So wash your hand nice and good, dry them, put on a little lotion, and then come back. So now we are going to set our chicken aside for now, and then grab a medium-sized bowl, because we are going to start building our marinade. So we're going to be doing things a little bit differently with this recipe, because we're going to be adding all our ingredients to the bowl, and then we are going to pour it on our chicken. First thing we're going in with is our roasted garlic herb butter. Now this is melted, and it's also at room temperature. Now if you do need a recipe for a roasted garlic herb butter or compound butter, I do have one live on our channel. You can go ahead and check that out. So we want it to be melted, room temperature, and then we're going to add the entire thing to our bowl. So next, I'm going in with my dry white wine. I am using Chardonnay today. The choice of wine is completely up to you. And of course, adding wine is optional too, but it does add such a delicious flavor to herb roasted chicken, but it is definitely your call. That we've added those liquids, we are now going in with generous amounts of our all-purpose seasoning, because we know it's going to bring the flavor, and we definitely want to bring out the flavor in our roasted chicken. I'm also going in with some smoked paprika. The choice of paprika is completely up to you, and I'm going to follow that up with some garlic powder and some onion powder, because those are going to add another layer of flavor, which is exactly what we want. We're also going to go in with some salt, and we're going to go in with some fresh cracked black pepper. And I'm also going to be adding some dried bay leaves, and I'm going to top everything off with some olive oil. So now that we have everything in our bowl, you want to go ahead and mix it to combine everything nice and good. And I started out with a spatula and then I switched things out with a whisk because I want to make sure that I don't have little clumps of seasoning sitting in my marinade. I want to make sure everything is nice and mixed out before I move on to the next step. Next step is going to be a bit hands-on. Now, if you have any issues with touching raw meat, go ahead and throw some gloves on because we are going to be separating the skin of the chicken away from the flesh. And in order to do that, you have to touch the chicken. So put some gloves on and you'll be good to go. So we are going to be pulling the skin away from the flesh in the breast area and in the thighs as well, because we're going to be creating pockets because we want to pour our marinade directly into those pockets. That way it can penetrate our chicken. Now, don't pull the skin off the chicken completely. Remember, I told you earlier that it is important to keep it on. So we just want to create a pockets just opening so we can pour our marinade into these pockets. That way it can penetrate the flesh of the chicken and make everything nice and tasty and juicy. Also, make sure you add some marinade to the cavity of the chicken. I know it's open now, but go ahead and pour the marinade in there. Make sure every part of this chicken is loved up in this delicious marinade because that's why we made it. Also, make sure you add the marinade to the skin, and we're going to go in with a few extra thyme. Now, I like to cook with a lot of fresh thyme. Feel free to adjust the quantity. That is your choice. And we are going to add a few extra sprigs of thyme and some rosemary as well, some fresh rosemary. We want to add it to the cavity and also to the chicken. And then we are going to cover this with some cling wrap or something airtight. And we want to allow this to sit in the refrigerator overnight. I prefer to do overnight when it comes to a whole chicken because it is a dense piece of meat, and I want to make sure that my marinade has time to do its work. So now that our chicken has been marinated, we are going to remove it from the refrigerator and just place it on the counter and allow it to sit out for at least 30 minutes. We want to allow it to come down to room temperature because this will allow the chicken to cook more evenly. So now we are ready to prep our roasting pan, and you want to make sure that you preheat your oven as well, and we're going to preheat our oven to 430 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to be lining the bottom of my roasting pan with some parchment paper. You can use some foil if that's what you have. Either one is fine, and just go ahead and line the bottom. I am not going to be using a roasting rack. Instead, I am going to be creating a bed of veggies, and then I'm going to place my chicken right on top of that and allow it to cook. Now, first I am going in with my potatoes, and I'm going to add these to my roasting pan in single layers. Now, if you are prepping these ahead of time, go ahead and place the peeled potatoes in some cool tap water and allow them to sit there until you're ready to use them, because this is gonna slow down the oxidation process and it's gonna prevent your potatoes from developing those little black spots. So next I am going in with some corn, some fresh corn. Now this is optional for you, but I like to add corn to my roast chicken because the husk is gonna absorb all that flavor from the pan juice. And when I tell you it's gonna be next level flavorful, you're definitely gonna wanna add some corn to your roast chicken from now on. Add these in single layer as well, just like we did with the potato. And then we're also gonna add some fresh rosemary. We're gonna line the bottom of the pan with it. And we're also gonna go in with some fresh thyme. I tell you, I love thyme, so I'm always OD with it. So next I am going in with 3 whole heads of garlic. Now, for some people this might be too much, and if you're one of those people, that's okay. Adjust the quantity, you can use less. Now you also want to make sure that you remove the top of the garlic so the heads are revealed, because you want the flavor from the garlic to seep out into our chicken and into our pan juices as well. So we're going to add these a little bit strategically. We're going to put one in the middle so it's over the cavity, and we're going to put the other 2 at the end of both ends of your roasting pan. So now I am going to be adding some carrots, and I've cut these in strips, and I'm going to add them the same way I did everything else. And then I'm going to drizzle the remaining wine over everything. Remember, the wine is optional. And lastly, I'm going to also drizzle some vegetable oil over all my veggies. So now we are ready to add our chicken, and then we're going to place it breast side up in our roasting pan. And make sure you empty any remaining seasoning or liquid that might be in the bowl that we season the chicken in into the roasting pan, because that's a lot of flavor and we don't want to waste anything. So I have a few extra sprigs of thyme that I'm just going to go ahead and add them. And then I'm going to add a light layer of vegetable oil over my chicken. And just a light drizzle to keep everything nice and moist. And then I'm just going to cover my pan and place it in the oven. So now a chicken this size will take anywhere from an hour and 15 to an hour and 20 minutes to cook all the way through. Now we are going to cook this for 45 minutes and then we're going to do our first basting. So go ahead and set your timer for 45 minutes. So here we are at that 45-minute mark. Go ahead and remove your chicken because we are going to baste it. So you can grab your turkey baster or a cooking spoon, a big old cooking spoon like I'm using here, and just scoop up the pan juice, and you want to pour it over the entire chicken, including the cavity. Once you're done basting your chicken, go ahead and cover it again, and we're going to put it back in the oven. And of course, the cooking time again depends on the size of your chicken, but we're going to cook it from anywhere between 30 to 40 minutes. So go ahead and set your timer again. So I'm going to be setting my timer for 30 minutes, and then we'll do another basting and we'll check for doneness. Now we've arrived at that 30-minute mark, and we're going to go ahead and check our chicken again, and we're going to baste it. We're going to love it up with the pan juice. And I'm going to grab my thermometer and check the temperature. You want to cook your chicken at an internal temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit, or you can take a skewer and pierce the thickest piece of the thigh, and if the juices run clear, that's usually a good indicator that your chicken has been cooked all the way through. So now that I've confirmed that my chicken has been cooked all the way through, now I am going to increase my oven temperature to the broiler setting, and I'm going to place my chicken back into the oven uncovered for about 3 to 4 minutes so it can bake up to that golden perfection. So now I'm at that 3 to 4 minute mark, and I'm remove my chicken. As you can see, it's absolutely gorgeous. It's baked up to a golden perfection. It is so tasty and it is so juicy. So go ahead and give it another quick baste. And you also want to remove those woody bits of thyme because we already extracted all the flavor. So remove them before serving. Also, you want to tent this or partially cover it and just allow it to sit out for about 10 minutes so all the juices can redistribute. So now you are ready to serve this with your favorite side dish, and you'll be good to go. Now, as always, I want to thank you for tuning in and hanging out with me today, and I hope you will give this recipe a try, as well as give this video a thumbs up. Now, if you still, for whatever reason, have not subscribed to the channel, I invite you to subscribe right now, as well as hit that notification bell so you're always notified when a new recipe drops. As always, one love and stay blessed, my friend.